On Monday, the PGA announced a ban on so-called anchored strokes beginning in 2016. The rule change is in line with other governing bodies, though it is not sitting well with some golfers. Joining us to break down the significance of an anchored stroke and why the PGA wanted to make this change is ESPN.com senior golf writer Bob Harig. And Bob, right off the top here, for those who don't know what an anchor stroke is, what is it?
Well, if you look at the guys who play golf, most of them swing a putter with their hands away from their body. The anchored stroke actually puts a part of the club or one of your hands against your body. In the case of the belly putter, which is used by Webb Simpson, who won the U.S. Open last year, and Keegan Bradley, who won the PGA Championship in 2011, they actually wedge the end of the putter into their stomach and anchor it there, and so it keeps it from moving. And then there's a guy like Adam Scott, who won the Masters this year. He uses a long putter, and he anchors the top of that putter with his left hand against his chest, and it keeps that end of the putter from moving. And that's what they are banning starting in 2016, not the clubs themselves, but the actual stroke.
Bob, what's the significance of the anchor ban?
Well, it's been a bit of a contentious issue. Guys have been doing this for years, but the governing bodies, the USGA in the U.S. and Mexico, they make the rules for this part of the world. The R&A, the rest of the world, they just sort of felt that this stroke was starting to become more prevalent, and they didn't really like how it looked. They feel that the putting stroke should be free swinging. In other words, just like the other 13 clubs in the bag, your hands should be away from your body. And so they studied this, and way back in November, they announced a proposed ban. They let people comment on it for 3 months. And then finally in May, they went ahead with their rule change, which won't take effect until January 1st, 2016. The tour's significance here is that they actually were opposed to it. They're going along with this reluctantly. They would prefer that the USGA and R&A had done nothing.
Can you explain there? You mentioned golfers like Scott and Bradley. Can you explain their vantage point on this, on why they oppose it?
There's several reasons why they oppose it. One is the fact that it's been around for a long time. That there's really been no impetus to change. There's been a good number of people that have used some form of an anchored stroke in golf now for 30 years. Why change now? There didn't appear to be any movement to make any sort of a change until perhaps maybe in the last 18 months. And so they feel like they've gone into the game. They do this for a living. They work hard at it. They practice it. This is not a cure for putting problems by any means. They'll point that out too. The statistics show that these guys are not the greatest putters. The best putters are still the ones who putt traditionally. And so they feel like they don't really have an advantage. So what's the point? There's other problems in the game that are bigger. They have a lot of arguments as to why this change doesn't need to be made.
Yet January 1st of 2016 is when it is proposed. Why not now? Why then?
Well, the way the rules work is changes are only made every 4 years. They have a 4-year cycle, and the next one happens to be January 1st of 2016. So, in a way, that's a good thing in that the guys who do use anchored strokes, they have time to transition.
Yeah.
They have a period of adjustment here. For another 2.5 years before they actually have to make the move. And some of them could gradually move over. They can practice with both. They can get comfortable. There's actually been some talk about why not just go ahead and do it right away to get rid of any kind of stigma. But for now, that's when the rule would go into effect, and Adam Scott can continue to use the long putter for a couple more years.
He's ESPN.com senior golf writer Bob Harig. Bob, thanks for the insight.
Thank you.
You, of course, can read more about this story right here on ESPN.com. But with the latest ESPN headlines, I'm Jim Basquill.